Forgive me if I get a little emotional at times.
Yeah.
I always tell, Cassie and you guys know me well enough to know now that my best, the best things probably about me can also be the worst things. It's this yin yang thing. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like positive, negative kind of deal. Like I'm very passionate about this, not only this, but you guys.
Sure.
In my relationships with y'all and my wife and whatever. I love really hard, but man, when you're on that other side, it's a light switch, man. I hate really hard too.
Sure.
I mean, it's just how God made me.
Right.
So,
You've got strong relationships no matter what they are.
And that's what I always, I don't know why God made me the way he made me. It's a light switch. Like when it's going, it's flipped to on. Mm-hmm. It's like every once in a while a light switch gets stuck in the middle and you're like, hey, the lights, what's going, have you ever noticed that? Like there's a switch here and there's a switch there and you're like, holy crap, the lights are screwed up. Honey, the lights are screwed up. No, this one just somehow flipped. That never really happens with me.
Yeah.
It's either, okay, it's on or it's off.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm happy I've only ever been on the love side of that. Yeah,
that's true.
I feel good about that.
Man, you guys are I'm at a point in my life, in my career. I'm 50 years old. I've been a police officer for 28 years, fixing to be working on 29. It's nice. I've never lied or put people on or whatever. I've always been very truthful. But at this point, I'm very, very, very confident in being truthful. And I don't have a problem saying, I love you or I love you.
Yeah.
And I also don't have a problem I also don't have a problem letting somebody know, like, man, we don't have a lot of time. Life is very short, and I don't need to spend my time around you.
Right.
You're not a good person, or you're, not that I sounds very judgmental, but I think you guys know what I'm getting at.
No, like when you start to realize, I feel like even, like I'm 33 and I know I'm not old, but it feels like I am sometimes. Yeah. It's like you start to realize that, what's the book? There's a book, it's called Energy Bus. It's a short book. It's one of my favorite books, though. And it's just kind of like the idea of the book and kind of what it talks about is that your life is essentially a journey where you're on this bus. And those people on your bus can either make your ride smooth or make your ride rough. And the more, and a big part of it is talking about how energy is finite, not infinite, right? And so it's one of those things that you start forcing people onto your bus that don't want to be there or people that shouldn't be there. You end up spending energy on people who don't deserve it. Means you are withholding energy from people who do. And so it's about one of those things where it's like you got to realize like who you want on your bus, because those have to be the people who deserve the energy that you have to give. And so,
everybody, and I hate this, and I'll talk about things that there's these sayings out there now, and one of them is organic. Let the relationship be organic. And I almost hate it because it's labeled, but it's kind of true. Like it's even with mentoring. Here we are. Okay, what's it take to be a good mentor? You're like, and there's all these books and guides and things. Man, I don't walk in to a kid from inner city area who's 15 and go with the flat bill on and go, yo, dog, what's up, man? No, man, I'm a 50-year-old country boy.
Right.
That grew up in a town of, less than 1,000 people that now lives in a different town of 500 people, graduated 55 kids. I am who I am, and I don't change that.
Right.
And I found that people love that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like you and I have some similarities. You and I have some similarities, and we have a lot of differences too. And I think I can appreciate the fact where you guys are from, and who you are, and that you're into MMA and the workouts you do, and you're from Spring, Missouri, and I'm from South Central rural Oklahoma, and I've had pretty good luck with that. So I guess getting back to the organic thing, and it sounds terrible to rag on that, because that's what it is. You just want it to be natural, I think, and not scripted and go,
it's not just being genuine and just being like who you are.
Right,
like, people know when you're not being genuine.
You're exactly right. I'm sorry, let me go to my guide real quick. That's on page 14.
Okay, he said this, so I got to flip through. Give me 1 second. All right, hold on.
Page 25, section 2, subsection Q says plainly. And you're like, whoa, this kid's
well, you talk about cutting people out of your life, and I think you can cut people out of your life, even not necessarily for being, and then maybe that's a harsh way of putting it, but like that you can have or choose to not have certain people in your life, not because they're bad people, but just because maybe you don't mesh as well.
Right.
You might have different priorities. You might have different goals in life that your lifestyles and what you like to talk about just maybe don't mesh super well.
Right.
And like Thomas said, like trying to force something, you're just going to be potentially wasting energy that is something that might not fit in the first place. So
that's definitely, being a little older now and experience a lot of life, that I don't like to force things as much. Whereas, and in business, you guys are in business, and certain, and being a police officer, there's certain times that you have to go, okay, I'm gonna have to I need to get along with this person, and I can do that.
Sure.
But when it's Clay time,
yeah,
or like when I come into the store, and and you guys, and we end up talking for 30 minutes, and I'm like, man, I'm sorry, y'all. It's not forced.
Right.
If this was some other, I might do that at Walmart. I say I don't do that at Walmart. I might.
Yeah.
I could do it anywhere, but then I could also not do it anywhere. Right. There's that switch again.
And I think building relationships, it to a lot of degree is like, it is definitely organic, but at the same time, man, I think that is a skill at the same time.
Yeah. Oh, 110%, and just trying to listen more. Sometimes I get, and of course you guys know how I am. I mean, we've laughed about it 4 times since I've been here.
A couple when you're in the bathroom.
I hadn't even, let's see, I took pre-workout about 8.
Yeah.
And let's see, we're working on 12 hours later, 10 and a half hours later. Sometimes I have to slow down and listen a little more and go, okay, hey, because like you guys are very smart, and you have good things to say, and I need to take that in and go. Whereas when I was younger, I'd find myself waiting for that pause for me to jump in and go, yeah. And then there's this one time, blah, 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 and I still fight it a little bit. And it's not out of disrespect or arrogance or anything. It's just sometimes, man, I get excited. Like when I'm like, man, there's Kevin, there's Tom, man, I ain't seen you in a while.
You're excited to tell us certain things, like just like we're excited to tell you things. I think that's to some degree just human nature.
Yeah. And I don't, and it's kind of that weird thing with you guys. Now, I don't, I mean, I see y'all, every month, every couple months, to whereas it used to be. That's just, and Preston, I was so glad to see, Preston, like, man, there was a time where I would see him 2 or 3 times a week. And now that's the first time I've seen him, I don't know, 4 months, maybe. I don't know. It's been a while.
We hide him here at the warehouse.
Right. Keep him for ourselves.
Put him in a box.
Chained up in the back.
Yeah, keep the cute ones here. Well, heck, let's get you introduced. So, first and foremost, we've got Clay Cline here, Oklahoma City police officer, working in the FACT unit. Been a police officer, you said 29 years?
Working on 29.
Working on 29 years. Got to know you working in the Norman store. Been friends with you for years now. Happy to call you one of my best friends. You're somebody who I talk to more than I talk to a lot of people. You and I, especially recently, kind of getting involved with some stuff together. It's been awesome getting to talk to you more and see you more. And man, I've always appreciated your company. And man, we're super excited to have you on here, get to talk about some of the things that you're doing right now, because I think they're super exciting, and not just super exciting, but super meaningful, and super, in a word you've used a lot when talking to me about it when we've been on the phone, is something that can be a legacy, something that can continue to touch the lives of people far past us. You know what I mean? Far past us doing it. And so, man, super excited to have you on here.
Yeah. I think I already know the title of this episode. I thought about it when I was in the bathroom. It'd be Muscles, Mentors, and Clay Cline.
Hey, there you go. Well, that's the big thing. That's the big thing you've got going on right now, is starting the program of Muscles and Mentors. Why don't you just explain a little bit more, I guess, for the people who aren't as involved as we are, on kind of what that is and what your goals are right now.
So I'm gonna go back a little way, because I think it kind of sets the stage, and it's pertinent to how it started. So I grew up in rural South Central Oklahoma. My mother had me when she was 17 years old, out of wedlock, and had my brother, whom I didn't even find out about till I was 21 at 15. So we all want a dad. We all want that person. We want to jump on dad's lap and have him pat us on the head and tell us what a big strong boy or sweet little girl you are. And I didn't really have that. And so my grandparents really filled that role. My mom was almost like a sister to me. I mean, she's a kid, raising a kid. And So had my grandpa, had my grandma, and grandpa filled the role of father really well. So, lived in a little farm place down in Goldsby, Oklahoma, which wasn't always booming like it is now. It's still a pretty small community, obviously, but a lot bigger than it was then. Yeah. Dirt roads, and did a lot of farm work growing up. Started working at 14, and picked watermelons and hauled hay for 2 summers, and it was a great life. Never really thought about working out. I mean, we all had sports athlete heroes and this and that. Got a little older, and I do remember for Christmas I got the old, speaking of weights, not everybody will remember these, but man, if you know, you fill them up with water. Mm-hmm. And the little bench is like, I don't know. It's like the same stuff they make shopping carts out of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
did you guys ever use the weights that were like concrete with like plastic wrapped around?
Oh yeah. That was the next step up.
Yeah. That's the nice stuff, like, Rich
that
boy.
Was the good thing.
Bragging over here. Concrete weights.
Yeah, I said I grew up in rural South Central Oklahoma.
You couldn't leave ours out in the sun or they'd evaporate.
You could drink them if there was a water shortage.
Hey,
it's like a canteen from a cowboy movie.
Yeah, drop sets.
And the legend was some people fill them up with sand and makes them heavier. And I'm like, give me that's going to take 6 weeks to fill in. But anyway, because there was like a little bitty hole. Remember? So I kind of got interested in that. And I always think back to not that we all played with toys, but if you had toys, I don't know if you guys did. I had G.I. Joe, I had He-Man. Mm-hmm. Well, what's He-Man look like? I mean, he's got obliques and abs, and he's yoked up.
Yeah.
So I think that, to me, and for a lot of young folks, that starts the whole, oh man, that's super cool. So fast forward, went to work at a grocery store, and there was I'll never forget. I was a stock boy. I was like 17 years old. A guy had stolen something, and he ran out of the store in Norman. I was working on the east side of Norman over there. I drive over. I went to high school at Blanchard, which is kind of down that direction. So there was an off-duty officer working, wearing plain clothes, and he goes, "Hey, go!" telling me to go chase the guy. Well, the guy's running, and I'm chasing behind him, and he runs across 12th Avenue, which is a busy street in Norman, around a big McDonald's at 12th and Alameda. And the officer's pretty fast, and he's running. He's right on his tail. Well, I'm a little slower, so I see him going around that way. Well, I'm like, I'm just an old country boy, but I know I got this. Well, I turn to the right, and I'm going to go the other direction and meet him. Well, when I do, the guy's already on me, and I didn't know what else to do. And he's a pretty big old tall guy, so I just put my head down and picked him up and threw him kind of slammed him on the ground. We cuffed him up. We walked him in the store back across the street, and I'll never forget all of the employees and customers started clapping. It's the cheesiest thing you ever seen, but I'm like.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's
I tackle a perp and I get an applause afterwards. I'm pumped.
Where do I sign up?
Right.
So fast forward a little bit more, had an opportunity to apply for a job at the McLean County Sheriff's Office, which is in Purcell. Where I was actually born in the town of Purcell. It's about 5,000 people there now, which this hospital I was born in, it's closed down now. You'd have to see it. I'm like, people are like, you were born there? And I'm like, I know. There's like 30 rooms. I mean, it's like if you put a bed in that room and there's a TV and, I mean, it's just rural areas.
Yeah.
So I got hired at the McLean County Sheriff's Office, worked in the jail for about 9 months, tried to have a really good attitude, and got an opportunity to become a field deputy and go to the State Police Academy, which I did about 97, I think. That was about 90. So I started my first day. This is funny. My first day in law enforcement as an officer was April 1st of 1996, April Fool's Day. Mm-hmm. And I said it's been a big joke ever since. So became a field deputy after that for about 3 years. And while I was a field deputy, I was driving around the town of Blanchard, and I'm the police, man. I've got this, about 130, 140 pounds. I've got big hair, no tattoo. I mean, I'm about half as tough as your your little girl. You know?
Hey, Riley's pretty tough. I've seen her rocking 2 hockey sticks, looking like a menace.
Okay, so I was like a quarter tough as well. Yeah. How old's Riley?
She's 14 months. She's got some nunchucks around here.
She does. I've seen them.
Well, I could have used her in this story I'm thinking today. So driving around, and there's a grocery store. They're called Spencer's. It's still there. And I hear a call. The call comes out. Subject trying to steal a 12-pack of beer. And so I'm whipping in. I'm like, I got this. Everybody does what I say. Well, I told him to put the beer down, and he didn't. He's just walking out. I mean, he just keeps. I'm like, sir, you stop, and he just keeps walking. So the story culminates in me somehow hanging around his neck, like holding on to his neck.
Yeah.
And it was like the Dukes of Hazzard. My feet were literally. I mean, he's slinging me, and my feet are like going. I mean, they might have been as high as the door jam. I don't know. I'm like, they could have touched the rafters. This dude is slinging me, and he wasn't a big man, slinging me around like a rag doll. Is that the term? It looks something off of WWE, except like if I was a little, like really small, petite female wrestler, but, you know, and nothing against small, petite, but you know what I'm saying? Like against a 400-pound, like it was rag doll stuff. Managed to get him kind of half choked down. A couple of citizens helped me handcuff the guy. Excuse me. I get him loaded in the car, and I was like, well, note to self. This is what I'm going to do. I better be serious about it. And I barely made it out of high school. I graduated 55 kids, and I graduated 32nd. So that was my claim to fame. But I was voted class favorite. So I always tell people, hey, that served me way better than now, everybody out there listening, make good grades, and, eat all your veggies. So put the guy in the car. Sorry, I blasted you up. Put the guy in the car and was like, I better get this done. So I kind of got into working out. And anybody that knows me knows when I go all in, I go all in. So I mean, I've got a set of weights at home.
Concrete now.
I think they work on like with the little bar. The bar weighs like 8 pounds or something, and it's terrible to change them out because you got to do the screw and pull it off. And it doesn't.
Little bench where the bars come right by your head, kind of thing.
Doesn't work right.
No.
In theory, it looks great in a JCPenney catalog. And I'm getting my curls on. Of course, a lot of curling.
Yeah,
a lot of and looking at Flex magazine. So, and just being a dumb country boy, you know, looking at Flex, I'm like, why do I not look like those guys after 2 years?
Yeah, what's going on here?
I don't understand. I'm eating peanut butter all the time. I gained about 20 pounds.
Yeah, the newbie gains.
It was wonderful. Best part, it just kind of progressed and progressed and progressed, and I think. Here we are 27 years later. And so that's how I got into working out. Yeah. Was that specific moment. I could put it on that moment. Worked out at home, joined
a necessity.
A necessity.
Right. You feel the work.
And then the bug hit me. You know, and you're like, whoa, it's downhill then. I love it.
Yeah. It's funny how it doesn't start as something of you just genuinely have a real, like a big interest in it for at least a lot of people that I know. Like for me, myself, I had my best friend in high school, we were hanging out all the time. Well, he started gaining an interest in the gym. I don't know how he got started, but he would go to the gym and I'd be like, well, I just want to hang out with my buddy. So I would go hang out in the gym with him, do his workouts with him. And I started putting muscle tissue on and I was like, wait a second, this is actually pretty cool. Like,
I kind of like this.
Yeah, I kind of like working out. And here I am. I think I've been working out for like 14 or 15 years now. So.
Yeah, right.
You know, I've never done drugs, but I would equate it to, that's got to be, I mean, to me, man, even to this day, like I'm going to do arms tomorrow and I'm like, okay, this is the pre-workout I'm going to do. This is the gym. Because I go to 4, 5, 6 different, gym. This is the facility I want to go to. This is the music this is what I'm going to wear. I mean, I'm sure my wife's like, hey, it's only 4. We just go back to 4 in the morning. We just go, sorry. See you at 7.
Yeah. Well, you see a lot of like people that usually be drug addicts get really, really into working out because they want something or need something to kind of fill that void or be consistent with. So
well, and so I've gone everywhere from being don't want to insult anybody, a cardio freak, super lean, ripped out, 140 pounder to I got up to about 220 at one point.
Whoa.
Which I was only like a pant size big. I mean, I tried to stay pretty lean.
When was that?
Say it again.
When were you 220? What do you weigh now?
I weigh about 185, 190.
Okay.
I fluctuate. I mean, I go from really about 186 to 192, actually.
Okay. Yeah, when were you about 220?
would have been about 12 years ago.
Okay.
Adam Roscoe and I, my best friend, y'all know Adam.
I love Adam.
We were working Santa Fe Patrol, and he'll tell you. He said, "Yeah, Clay, I was, you remember the old Pro 1AD and all that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man, that was like, and." Taking that and gaining about a pound every 3 days. And but Adam's really funny if you ever ask him about it. He's like, yeah, Clay was gaining a pound about every 3 days, but I was gaining about 5 every single day. Because we would break line up. I would work out. I would get up about 4 a.m, go work out. We would go to line up, and then it would be whole milk. One of those they're a ripoff because they're like $3 or $2.50 or whatever. You can buy a whole gallon for. The little containers of whole milk from 7-Eleven, a banana, and I would drink about 3 sips out of it and dump protein. Of course, it would get everywhere because it's a terrible idea because it's not a shaker. But the shakers, it wasn't even really it was just becoming a thing. Mm-hmm. So I would do that. 2 hours later, it was Subway. 2 hours later, it was some protein bar from somewhere. 2 hours after that, it was Taco Bueno on the southeast side over there, and it would be 6 to 8 items.
Yeah.
2 hours after that, it's dinner. Then before bed, it's whatever, another shake, and then sleep, and then repeat it.
Right.
And got up to about 2:20, and I remember walking up the old Oklahoma City Police Headquarters stairs, and I was like, and I mean, they're not like it's like a flight and then a landing and then a flight, And I mean, I don't even know if it's a full flight. Anyway, I was like, I don't feel good.
Yep.
So at that point, I kind of became, I'm going to play to my strengths, which was being lean. And so, still like to lift a certain way and look a certain way and do a certain way, but I was like, anyway, so I cut down to about, and I've been this for, ever since then. I mean, it's been 14 years or whatever, I mean, I might fluctuate a little bit, like 5 pounds, but it's not very much.
That was my heaviest. I was 255, and similar deal. I was eating as much as I possibly could, and my wake up call, I was, huffing and puffing, walking up and down stairs, up and down. And my wake up call was Trace and I don't know if you remember Trace or not.
Oklahoma City fireman, isn't he?
Yeah. It was him and I, we were out doing an event or something, and we drove together, took my truck, and I got into my truck and just hopped up in there, and Trace noticed that I was out of breath doing that. And I was like, I probably should start.
You're never going to be Mr. Olympia unless you weigh 290 pounds, man.
And that night I went home and took a long, hard look in the mirror, and I'm like, am I going to be Mr. Olympia? Looking at myself right now, I don't think so. But it'd be really cool to be really lean, though. So
yeah, but the guy at Walmart just said I was huge. I mean,
What was that guy that saw you at Walmart? I think it was when you first moved.
It was when I first moved here. I was we were checking out, like not even at self-checkout, like there was a person like scanning our food, and this random guy just walks up to us from like the side, it just walks straight up to us and goes, "Man, what do you eat?" And I'm like, this, I guess, like, because we're grocery shopping. And he goes, "All right, I'm about to get that, and I'm gonna double it up, and I'm gonna be as big as you." And I was like, okay. And then he just walked away, and I was like, welcome to Oklahoma City, I guess.
That's a compliment, right?
I've always fought the skinny gene for the most part. And so I'm a hugger. Like I hug you guys and I love you guys, and I know when the first time I hugged Thomas, I was like, and I think I told you, I was like, people walk up and go, "Man, I want to be ripped and lean. I want to look like this. I want to look like you. I want to look like this." And not me. I always wanted to look like him, like you got to turn sideways.
Yeah.
I always at Sample Triad this year when I ran into Ray Willingham.
Yeah. He literally has to turn sideways. He walked in the back of the store the other day to go to the bathroom, and he had to turn sideways to walk down the hall.
I'm like, Ray,
put his hands in the air.
Right.
Like Ray,
that's a 5 foot wide walkway, right?
Ray, you just dented our door jamb.
Yeah.
Can you turn side? And he's one of those guys that when you tap on his, when you tap on his, you're like,
what?
It's like that.
Yeah,
like,
right.
What in the world?
He'd be a cool guest. We should have him at some point.
Mm-hmm. It's a cool dude. Yeah. So that's what I always want. I mean, I guess it's that whole old thing. It's the grass is always greener.
Yeah.
And then people are like, well, I wish I was, I don't know, man. It don't matter what it is. You're always chasing a carrot, chasing that carrot. So
We want to have more muscle tissue and be leaner no matter where we're at.
Well, and that's what I always tell people. They're like, and since I got into training, got my trainer certification, and I'll go into that in just a sec. But yeah, I don't care what you do. I don't care if you sit behind a keyboard. I don't care if you're an NBA basketball player. I don't care if you're a UFC. And mind you, I haven't done any of this. Best I can tell, the more muscle and less body fat you have, the better you perform at anything. I mean, maybe not a marathon run. I don't know, because I hate to tell a marathon, because they're not that. I mean, they're more worried about, hey,
I ran a half marathon.
There you go. You don't have. That's another thing. I don't think you have to.
Yeah. My only goal was to be the biggest guy running the half marathon and not finish last. And I beat like 4,000 people. That was like the greatest achievement of my life. I was beating people that weighed 120 pounds, and I'm like, you want to go lift after this? I didn't say that. I was very nice.
Well, I remember talking about that when you were doing that, and I remember me going, wow, Thomas, that's epic.
Yeah,
and
I'm doing it again this year.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's super intimidating. I'd be like, farthest I've ever run is 5 miles, and it was in our police academy.
Yeah.
And I was like, will somebody shoot me behind the ear? But going back to, so that's how, the getting slung around like the Dukes of Hazzard bar scene and the Boar's Nest or whatever, that's how I don't know if you guys remember the Dukes of Hazzard, but that was when they have the bar fights and like people would get slung like it's just ridiculous over there. That's how I felt. So got into working out. A few years after that, I got hired at the Newcastle Police Department. Wanted to start my police pension and get a retirement going, and was getting it, still in working out. And I would drive around and eat peanut butter out of a jar during my shift. And I remember at one point just eating all these hamburgers and all this. And they sent me to a physical fitness for peace officers class. And I think it was like a week long. And of course, you go there, and this is, they're still teaching the nutrition triangle,
the food pyramid.
Yeah, food pyramid. Thank you. That's what my wife's a third grade teacher, and we always laugh about, because they still want her to like a 9 to 11 servings of bread and grains every day, and
funded by the grain industry.
Peanut butter's a protein. I'm like, well, there's like 6 grams per serving.
Yeah, right.
8, whatever,
and like double the amount of fats in there.
And
we're still, but we all know that's anybody that knows. So. Got back from that, and then December 17th of '99, I'd just gotten off work and went and got my teeth looked at. I had my wisdom teeth cut out, and a guy crossed left of center down in Goldsby and hit me head on in a van. I was in a Ford Ranger, and it broke my pelvis and dislocated my hip and cracked my head open pretty good. So I was in the hospital for about a month. I was in traction. They didn't know what I was going to do. They didn't know what they were going to do to fix me. They're like, hey, you may not be a police officer again. And I'm crying.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because I'm like, I go back to my high school education.
Yeah.
Wasn't very, class favorite. That doesn't get you anywhere.
Can't put that on the resume.
Yeah, like, hey, but I got this. And they're like, oh, yeah, we'll call you if we're having a party later. Yeah. So they put some screws in there. I incidentally dropped down to about 130 pounds again.
Sure.
And they doctor come in and said, well, it's in socket. They had to put it back in. They got to put it back in socket within like 6 hours, or it dies, and then your hip dies, and they have to cut it out. It's this bigger deal. So he said, you got 2 options. We can let it. We think it's going to heal on its own, but it might slip out of socket from now and then. And this is a pain. It was pretty terrible.
Sure.
Like I finally said, you guys in the ER, I said, after 4 shots of different things, and I don't know what it all was, I go, this is messing with my head. Y'all gonna have to do something. And they put me out. I woke up and I had a rod under my shin bone and my leg. It was like TV, like Happy Days. Somebody gets in a motorcycle wreck and Fonzie's in a cast, but I'm sitting there and it's like there's this pulley and my leg's up in the air. I'm looking at it, it's ridiculous. And he said the other option is we do surgery tonight. You'll be up on it tomorrow. It'll be a long recovery, but you'll be up on it. And I said, do the surgery.
Yeah.
So we did. I was up on it the next day. Got released from the hospital 4 or 5 days later. Contacted a pretty good infection around Christmas or after Christmas. It was right around Y2K. It was 99. So it's like people are preparing for the, and you guys were little kids then.
Yeah, I remember.
And had to go back in the hospital, stayed another 5 days or a week, and then got out and then went to, started working dispatch at Newcastle. And at this point, I kind of hear the Rocky music every morning, like, do, let me drink some egg whites and got my cut off, and like rougher the better. Let's go run through some snow. And But at that point,
punching a cow carcass.
Yes. At that point, I'm really hearing it because I'm like, and if the Eminem song, "You only get once," that too. At that point, you're like, because I'm like, I don't have a fallback. It's farm work,
right?
And the retirement is really bad there. I'm driving somebody else's pickup and feeding somebody else's cows, and this is what I do, honey. You ready to get married? Let's get married and have kids. I've got all this going for not that there's anything wrong with that.
Sure.
So, but God was really good. I actually made it back in right at a month into patrol. And about a year later, I'd become a detective. And then I'd always wanted to work for the Oklahoma City Police Department. Not it's not a money issue or this and that, but I was like, I want to do TV cop show stuff. Everybody knows everybody's heard of Oklahoma City. That's what I want to do. So I applied, was very blessed, got hired. First time I applied. And worked third shift patrol. It's where Adam Roscoe and I were in the same academy, and that's where kind of that friendship started. And worked a high crime area around Capitol Hill. Had from Grand to 59th, from Santa Fe to Penn. Those were my on night shift for years and years. And during this time, going back to growing up, not knowing my father, I became a big brother. Big brother, big sister, whatever. That organization in Cleveland County. Had a couple of littles. They call them littles, or they used to. I think they still do. And I've just always, I know there's a need. I almost hate the word mentors to a certain degree because it's another stage, kind of a stage name. Nothing against it, but that organic and all that. It's a thing. It could just be natural, and that's what I wanted. And so you go on calls in patrol and. Served as a big brother and had my own kids, had been married and had my own kids, and just always didn't want any young person, boy or girl, to go through that and not have a father. I think it's important to have a father, a protector, somebody to teach you that side. And of course, moms can be protective too. We all know that, sometimes even more protective, but kind of in a different way. Yeah. And so after, I don't know, I'd been on the police department quite a while. And Adam Roscoe goes to the FACT unit, Family Awareness Community Teamwork, kind of a mentoring unit. Started out years ago as a gang intervention program. Excuse me. Well, it was wonderful. I had really great experiences. Helped this kid helped like 3 or 4 or 5 kids get back into high school. Had a kid go, "Hey man," I said, "What would it take you to get back in high school?" He said, "If I could get eligible to play basketball." And I'm like, let's do this. And so I go to the OSSSA and I badge my way in, and I always said I'd use my badge for the greater good, not for my own benefit, but if I could help somebody. Well, come right in here. So I had to write all these letters and get a letter from his mom, get a letter from him, show that he was helping raise his little brother, and got him eligible for basketball. And lo and behold, he got back, he went to school and he did his part like he promised me, and he graduated.
That's awesome.
Kid's name's Kevin Freeman. He's 27 years old now. We're still in each other's lives. He could have gone the other way. And he dabbled some a little bit over the years. He'll tell you. He was a street rapper and did some different things. And so anyway, his wife's pregnant, and he's naming his son after me.
Oh, is he really? Holy cow!
And so it's things like that kept So anyway, back to that's now. Anyway, back to there was I found like I'd had pretty good luck. I don't want to say I was good. I don't like to make arrogant statements and things like that, but I was pretty good at some of that stuff. Had some good luck. Had very blessed. God put me in a position and to do some things like that, and it was wonderful.
Because not everybody has the opportunity to like you said, badge your way in and be able to write those letters.
Or even a willingness to.
Or even willing. Yeah, but even the people that do, you'll find a lot of people that won't put the time in.
Right. So, well, it was something that was important to me, and I was able to do that with this kid and this kiddo, and then maybe a young lady's like, "Hey, can you help me get a job?" I'm like, "Yes, yes." So I did that job. I was in the FACT unit for about 3 years. And I was kind of going through a divorce at that time. And I always say FACT, I saved FACT and FACT saved me. It was a two-way deal. Cause that's when Kevin would call me and say, "Hey, Clay, how you doing? Unc? What's up, Unc? How you doing, Uncle Clay? How you doing, man? And what's up with, and he's a good kid, and I thought, man, that's it. He's checking on me now. So, that's cool. And about this time I'd met my current Cassie, who's the love of my life. She's a wonderful gal. Y'all have met her. We're super sweet, third grade teacher down in Washington, Oklahoma, back home. And she grew up down there, and we grew up about 8 miles apart, but never knew each other. I'm 7 years older than her, so when when I was a senior, she was like a kindergartner. Anyway, whatever, man. Okay, it's super weird. Forgive me. But got married to her, and then FACT was going really well, and then had an opportunity to leave FACT and go back into uniform. And I was assigned to the municipal courthouse for 7 years, and made some wonderful. And looking back now, I realize it was part of the plan of how all this worked out, and we can talk about that in a sec. But had my feel, been there for 7 years, and oh man, working, and it was been here a while. It's just time for a change, and I'd prayed about it. It was coming up on, hit my 25 on the police pension, so that's kind of a sweet spot to retire. And was really like, man, maybe this is, and so to go back a little bit. So Brian Atterbury, trainer up in Edmond. Yep. So I'd studied about to be a personal trainer under him about 18 years ago. He was teaching a course at Moore Norman Technology Center, and I can't remember what certification it was. It was like the dominant one in Oklahoma at the time. So he had, the year before, 2 years before, he had trained a young lady, and she had won Miss Oklahoma, and then she won Miss America. Well, the next year he was training a different girl. She won Miss Oklahoma and then Miss America. So I mean, that's. Yeah. Now you're like, I mean, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure there's like, hey, we're flying in to do a weekend camp with, with Brian Atterbury. And he was a nice guy, and he always liked to talk guns. Just a nice fellow. I haven't seen him in years. I'd like to look him up and, and reconnect.
He runs a pretty cool gym, Results, and I'm sure he's got
I didn't actually know that was his.
Yeah. At least as far as I know, that's his. Okay. And I'm sure I think he's got tons of clients still. So
well, so he was really cool dude. Yeah. So studied under him. I was working nights at the time, and I'm like, I don't have time to. I mean, I go to the gym for an hour and a half a day or whatever, and then I'm trying to keep a marriage. I'm trying to do this, and then get to line up at 9 o'clock and work for 10 hours, and then So I didn't take the certification exam. I'm like, this is not a good time. So back to last, couple years ago, I'm like, you know what? I'm getting close to retirement. I told Cassie, I said, hey, I think I'd like to do this again. So I start doing some, NASM, all these other ones, and so I settled the NASM, so I did it, and took and got certified and all that. Well, I'm thinking, okay, I'll retire. I'll start building up my clientele. I already had a name, Smoking Guns Fitness. Smoking Guns. It's always some, name or acronym. We've probably talked about all that. You're not nothing without a catchy name or acronym, which is true to a certain point. Yeah. And so. Was getting closer. So I'm on the treadmill one morning doing cardio, which I'm sure if you guys are like me, it's like the worst part of working out. Right? Bam. If anybody's ever heard me run, I always tell like Cassie, we laugh. It's like, man, when I'm running, it sounds like I got cinder blocks on each foot. Bam, 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 bam. Like I know I weigh like 187 pounds. How can this be? It's rough.
Stomping on the treadmill.
So I'm watching my Netflix show, trying to forget what I'm doing, and to keep jacked up on caffeine best I can. Phone's ringing, it's Adam Roscoe, and I'm like, okay, hey bro, what's everything good? Because that's my thing, like, hey, let me call you back, but let me make sure it's not like DEFCON 0 down there and you need me to come help you kill some people or whatever. You know what I mean? Like what's going on, because it's, man, I hate to say it, but with police work it is
you
sometimes
never know.
It could be really good, or maybe a volcano went off, and literally like a volcano. Like, okay, Mount Scott was actually a volcano.
Yeah, we had no idea.
So we didn't know. So he's like, hey, you're good. He said, you need to call me when you get off the treadmill. I'm like, well, give me a tidbit. I mean, don't leave me this quick. And he said, there's a position coming open in FACT, and he said, I think they want you. And so I made a call to my lieutenant, Camille Shockley. You guys met her a while ago, and talked to her, and she's like, she'd asked me like a couple years before when she'd gone there, if you ever, I want you to come back. And I'm like, no, I'm good, So she said, nope, you're the one I want. You're the one I want. And so I set up a meeting with Captain Michelle Henderson, wonderful gal. Nice lady. I'm not sure if I can say a gal about my captain on. Let's cut that out of it. No, it's with respect. She's wonderful. Went and met with her. It was formal. I'm like, very nervous. I'd never met her before. And I'm like, I just really want to tell you how great I am, and please pick me. And she was like, oh yeah, thank you very much for coming down. So anyway, Lieutenant, it's like, Clay, you're the one. So with us, it's, all these different officers put in and stuff, and then you get selected. But it's this way. It sucks. You're like, I don't know. Am I good enough? Am I not good enough? Right. Am I getting chosen? Am I not? Well, I got chosen. And of course, you guys knew some about that. And you're like, hey, I got it. And so now it's kind of morphed into the FACT unit, Family Awareness Community Teamwork. There's another, let me see how many times I can say that. It's a mentoring unit. And we just kind of fill that gap, whatever that gap is. We don't have a lot of boundaries. It's very overwhelming at times.
Sure.
I've done everything but buy a young man a pregnancy test to take home to his girlfriend. He was 15. She was 15. It was negative, by the way. And to helping a kid get a job, multiple kids get jobs, dealing with domestic, issues at home, bad grades, suspensions, drug use, tobacco, alcohol, just bad attitudes. It's very, very draining.
I can imagine.
So I kind of, I hate to say I have a core group, but you have those core kids that are always coming around. They're like, Clay this and Clay that. And I mean, they're calling you 24 hours. I always laugh, like, I'm not sure how many hours I work.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not like, oh, you're so great. And I'm not looking to get at the city, but it's like, man, I don't really know.
Yeah.
Like because it's like, I'm doing this, I'm working out, but then I just sent 4 texts, and then I returned 4 phone calls. And I'm looking.
I think we know what that feels like.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, yeah. Work doesn't stop.
Well, and I'm not trying to hit the city for this rinky dink. Give me 5, but I mean, but then sometimes it turns into 11 or 12 hours.
You can't have a 15-year-old kid calling you because he's going through some life struggle, and you go, oh, sorry, buddy, it's 7 o'clock. I got off at 5.
Yeah.
Back to that treadmill. I need to name my treadmill. Like the throne of fire or something. Because
I thought you were saying go back to Susie. Like name it like that.
So about 2 months ago, I'm on the treadmill, 7 in the morning. So it's on Sunday mornings, get on the treadmill for an hour. Cassie gets on. We got about an hour and a half before church, and then I meal prep while she's on it. Well, it's 7 in the morning, and I mean, I'm like creaking. My knees are crackling. I'm like, well, trying to start my pre-work, my 200 milligram of caffeine. Let's just get this going. And the phone rings, and I'm like, well, it's someone, this kid. Man, I can't. I mean, everything about me said, look, I just want to watch Netflix. Can I just watch Ozark? I've already seen it, but I'm going to watch it again because the other ones,
great show.
Other shows suck at this point. You know what I mean? It's like trying to chase that, to fill that void because since I finished it. But I answer it, and he's crying and upset about some things. And so that, it's a 24-hour. Now, not like, oh, please pat me on the back. I've got it so rough.
Right.
But you know what I mean.
Right.
So it ended up being different. These young men would walk up to me, hey, Clay, Sergeant Clay, Mr. Clean. Sometimes they call me Mr. Clay Cline. Clay, Mr. Clean, Mr. Cline, Mr. Clean, bald head. I don't have an earring, but I mean, if I was to look like a cartoon, I mean, the facial features are pretty similar.
Yeah, I mean,
Pointy nose, the jaw. I'm like, okay. Hey, will you take me to work out? I want to work out with you. I want to look like you. I want to be big. I want to do this. I want to do that. Of course, I'm like, well, thank you for noticing. Yeah, I work out a little bit every now and then when I get a chance. Saving lives and, taking damsels in distress out of burning buildings. But I'll see what I can.
Running on the throne of fire.
See what I can do. So a couple of the local gyms, if you get the premium membership, you can take a guest. And of course, we all know, God love them, that they look for every reason to go, okay, who is this? So it's my son. I'm his guardian. Leave me alone. Sign him in. Right. Look, you hit me for 28 or whatever plus tax. That's So started taking them to work out with me, and I showed you guys some of the pictures. Well, I have a group text with my lieutenant and the other officers. And we'll put pictures and stuff, and I'd put a picture of me and one of the kids, doing an after workout selfie, which is completely not in my wheelhouse, but they love it.
Yeah, right.
Let's do it.
Yeah, that's the one you sent me on Snapchat, right? I'm just kidding.
Yeah. No, I had a tank top on.
Yeah, right.
I was like, no, I don't have Snapchat. Does somebody steal my name out there? And I sent it out. and I wanted to kind of make a joke about it. Muscles and Mentors, a weekly podcast. Ha. Which is super funny because at the time I didn't really see any podcasts much, and I darn sure can't log into a computer. Like this, I'm like, wow, what is this magical device? Wow. I don't know what to do with my hands. Like little Ricky Bobby. And so they're like, oh, wow, Clay, this is, and everybody and it was kind of a cool thing. Well, then I run into Lieutenant, and she's like, Muscles and Mentors, what a great name. I love that name. And I'm like, man, I was just kidding. And she's like, no, I really like it. Okay, cool, thanks. 2 weeks later, I was going to work some community event. I went by our our headquarters, which is the old Will Rogers briefing station. And it's out northwest Oak, like 36th and around I-44. And I'm grabbing some items, like these little footballs we hand out, and pencils, whatever, little wristbands. Kids love it, stickers. I like that kind of stuff. Anyway, doing it for them. Well, I'm talking with somebody, and they're like, hey, I heard you've been taking kids to work. And I don't know how they heard it, Sure. I'm like, yeah, man, it's maybe, I don't know. It's kind of a neat idea. Call it Muscles and Mentors. Well, my Captain Henderson, she's in her office, which just happens to be kind of like where the bathroom door is. Maybe a little, but her door's open. And she kind of walks out and she's like, Muscles and Mentors? What is this? And I was like, oh, hey, Captain, it's just this little blah, 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 just this, and just that. She's like, I really like how that sounds. And it's just kind of morphed in, in the last 5-6 months, this is so ironic because I've always been I'm not the new program guy. I'm like, we trying to reinvent the wheel over and over. We need to run the wheel we've got better.
I tend to be that guy too. So,
well, that's why it's kind of ironic that now I started a new program. I guess I should have shut up all those years. So it's kind of turned into, my vision for it is there's going to be satellite locations around the city. It starts this Thursday at Western Heights High School. They had a need. I think all these schools have needs, this kind of need. They need mentoring. They need, some direction on some of these. Hey, let's not call the teacher the F word, F and B or whatever.
Right.
Let's not push the kid down and let's not vape in the bathroom. I mean, come on, man. Everybody's looking for a family.
Right.
We all are, and we all going to find that family. I think it just could make a big difference in our life where we find it. And these kids are the same way. They're going to vape with them other boys in the bathroom. They're going to do some dope.
That's their family.
That's their family. We all have to fit in. What if they fit in with Muscles and Mentors? So here's how it's looking. We got about 20 kids signed up to start this Thursday, 4:00. Now, I don't know how many are going to show up. If only one show up, we're busting the seal. I said that to y'all earlier. It is a program as of Thursday. We are busting the seal on this program. Yeah. Now, I hope they show up in horror. I hope everybody shows up. Let's do this. There's supposedly a waiting list. The middle school wants their own day. Everybody that hears about it. I talked to Wheeler Elementary today. They're like, when can you start? Like, can you go right now? Like, hey, get these kids in here. Let's go, I don't want to turn anybody. I mean, man, I don't know where it's going. I've got a couple of friends. They're like, Clay, this is fixing to have 200 kids in it. There's fixing to have 400 kids in it. You're fixing to be traveling around speaking seminars on this. Is that going to happen? I don't know. It's not slowing down.
But the interest that you're getting already, it seems like, I mean, I don't, me personally, if I were in your shoes, I'd be getting a little nervous about what my capacity is to be able to handle all that and take on all those kids. So it sounds like it's got just unreal potential.
I have been very nervous about that once again, because I'm not the new program guy, but I am very passionate about this. A good friend of mine, works downtown out of headquarters, Mike Rogers. I got a call. Hey, you need to call Mike Rogers. Okay. When all this was kind of kicking off, I call him, and he's a friend from the old days. He's a great guy. You met him.
Yeah,
you love him. He's just a good guy.
Super nice.
We got
guy.
a bunch of great officers at our police. I mean, I hate to say that, but we do. And And in our unit, and police community relations, the unit that I'm assigned to, major, chief, deputy chief, all of them, they're all just, it's one. Deputy chief, then chief, they're all wonderful. Very supportive. Chief Basie's very supportive of our unit. Deputy Chief Clifton, very supportive of our unit. All the deputy chiefs are. It's been wonderful. Major Johnston all the way down to captain, like I mentioned. So I call Mike. Hey, what's up? He's like, we get to talking. He's like, Clay, this is a God thing. He said, nobody around the country is doing this, nor the police departments. That, they do soccer. Yeah, they do flag football, and nothing wrong.
Yeah, right.
No, and I'm like, nobody's doing weightlifting. I mean, like that is the catch-all. Once again, no matter what you do, it makes you better. Whether you're an MMA, you grapple, or whether you're a fighter, or whether you just, I don't know.
Yeah. Whether you are playing sports or competing in some other facets, like the gym is still, like, even if you're just playing soccer,
or doing none of it. If you're just going to school, right. And it gives you an outlet too. Like, I think we all know how much better we feel after we work. The funniest thing that happens with my wife is, we all get a little froggy sometimes, and she'll look at me and goes, when was the last time you did jiu-jitsu? And I'd be like, 3 days ago. She goes, they got a class tonight?
You need to go.
Because you need to go.
Oh, yeah. When Cassie knows, I like to go first thing.
Yeah.
I'm awake, like I said, hearing the Rocky music and do.
Yeah,
it's going to be epic. It's going to be special. Yeah. It's going to be, a little bit of Randy Macho Man Savage with the hair of Rocky, and maybe a little Hulk Hogan and some Dwayne Johnson. Let's do it. She knows. Like if I have an event or something going, I'm like, hey, we can't go till noon. She's like,
right. but like I'm saying though, when you got a group of kids who don't understand that there's this great outlet that exists, for life, for stress, for pent up anger, for any of those kind of things,
learning about self-improvement,
right? Like getting in there, and you got to earn it. Nothing's given for free in the gym. Like you got to earn every bit of it. And it's like all those kind of things, like there's so many teachable moments. And on top of that, just like the opportunity to have one-on-one, or just be in a room of mentors that we've been talking about, of just like positive influence, whether that's kids or police officers or other people in the program, whatever it is. It's like that opportunity just to surround them. Like I always use this as an example because it's, it's kind of silly. I don't mean to say anything bad about people that have been friends of mine, but I remember before coming down to Oklahoma City, I was bartending at the sports bar, and it was a great time, and I was making good money. And, you get regulars, and the regulars are coming in all the time, and they're super nice guys. And, I started hanging out with them even when I wasn't working. And, a couple of things happened. Like, I was drinking 3-4 nights a week, but they drink 6. So like, I'm fine, right? Like I don't have a problem because like they drink 6. I'm the prude in this group. Well, you take me out of that group and put me in another one, I'm an alcoholic, right? And so, then you also start to look at like, man, again, no offense, they're great guys. I miss them. I love them. But like, I'm getting all my advice in life right now from 8 different 60-year-old alcoholic divorced men who are telling me what I need to be doing with my girlfriend, right? And it's like, and not that they were giving me bad advice all the time, but like I probably wasn't getting good advice all the time. You know what I mean? And so it's like you start to realize like how easy when you're in this group where it's just like, well, when one of them says something that might be a bad idea, and this isn't to those guys directly, but just like to any group, it's just like, especially people who think the same, it's like, well, he says one thing, it might not be a good idea. Well, then the 7 other of them might be like, you know what? I agree. You should tell her what this and that, and and it's like, okay, it's real easy to, you fall into those families, and it's like, it becomes real easy to like not think you've got a problem, and again, I don't know what goes on all the time, especially if you have some like underprivileged youth who were dealing with, crime and stuff like that. Well, it's like, hey, well, I've only robbed 1 liquor store. These guys have robbed 10 in the last 2 months. I'm not doing it. I'm the prude of the group. You know what I mean? It's like, you start to fall in that. Well, now you transplant that kid and you put him in a group working out, bettering themselves, not, hearing about how robbing a place is a bad idea, and you start influencing in like some more positive ways, like there's an amazing impact that can happen in those kind of rooms, and especially lifting and working out. There's something so intimate about that. There's something that, like, when you are working out with somebody, it's like, I can go have one workout with somebody who's like, hey, come work out with me. And I'm like, all right. And we go hit a workout for the day. Dude, that guy's going to be my buddy for life. You know what I mean? It's just something that happens.
I always think about this. So when I first came back to FACT last summer, we don't have regular programming because it's summertime. And so we take some of the kids to college visits around the city, usually. We go to, Langston. We go to University of Oklahoma. We go to OSU OKC. We go to Oak Triple C. And I had a couple of these young Hispanic girls that had been in our JIP class, Juvenile Intervention Program, which is the first time offenders, minor stuff. They're good girls, but they've done some fighting in school and gotten in trouble. And we're walking around them, and there's probably 14 or 15, 16 kids, me and 2 or 3 other officers, and we're walking around, and it's hot. It's like 180. It's like July. Like, wow, we get to walk out on the football field and all this, but we're walking around around the dorms. And I'm kind of looking at these two, and they're friends, and they're off, and they, go to inner city schools, whether it's Grant or Capitol Hill, I don't remember.
Sure.
and I'm watching them, and they are literally like, their eyes are like bing, like headlights, like they're little old skinny girls, man, and their eyes are like this, And I'm like, what's up? And they're like, Clay, and the kids call me Mama first. Clay, we didn't even know this existed. And I said, like, you didn't know what existed. And they're like, OU? And I'm like, you literally live 20 minutes to 25, however far. I don't know how far it is, but they didn't even. And since then, and I'm like, do you want to go here? And they're like, yeah, it'd be a dream. And I'm like, well, you can. And since then, I met with them. They had both of them had texted me, said, hey, can you help us? And I said, yeah. And they said, when? And I said, and this is funny. I know it. They're like, this guy's crazy. I'm driving. I'd left the gym. That's my thing. Get up and go work out. And I'm heading in around 11, noon, 10, whatever hours I'm working that day or whatever might be going on. And one of them is like, hey, when can you help us? And I'm like, where are you at right now?
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm at school. And I said, I'll be there in 10 minutes. And I did. And I walked in. Sergeant Cline, blah, blah, blah. Is there a counselor available? Yes. They come in. What can we do to get these girls into sonography? I don't even know what that is. It's like baby, like, what is it when you get the thing right over their stomach for a baby? Tell us to look at the, ultrasound maybe.
Yeah.
So thanks, guys. Y'all are supposed to know these. And anyway, you know what I'm talking.
I guess, I should probably know, but
and got the process started for them to go. And I still check on their grades. I'll text them about every week and go, hey, grade check. Just that accountability and that.
Amen.
And just,
People
hey,
need that
what can we do? And it's made a huge deal in their life. And they've got an opportunity to really do this. And I'm like, girls, y'all could, and I texted them before OU game one time. And I said, hey, y'all could be getting ready to, hairspraying your hair right now, frizzing up, ready to go down to the stadium. Right. Because that's what you do.
Right.
Just because you start out somewhere, don't that mean that's where you got to end up? And not that there's anything wrong with that.
Though. But there's opportunities. If you work hard, you do things, you can find rewards.
It amazed me. They literally did not. I mean, they didn't. I mean, it's like this existed.
Yeah.
It's
crazy. Like, just even in my own life, like I remember talking with somebody one time. It was a guy I worked with, and it was his girlfriend, and I was in college. I was working at Pickleman's, and shout out Pickleman's. And I'm talking to her, and she's nice, and neither of them had gone to college. They just finished high school, and I was in college, and blah blah blah. And she was sitting there, and she's like, oh, I wish I could go to college. And I'm like, well, you can. Like, why not? And she's like, well, I can't afford it. And I'm like, yeah, none of us can. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of the whole. That's the whole trick of the whole thing, right? Yeah. And she's like, well, then, like, I just don't like, how do you do it? And I start talking to him. I was like, well, take out loans and student loans. It's what most people do, or get grants, especially, because I didn't grow up with money or anything. And so got a lot of grants and stuff that help pay for the school. And I was like, most of my school's kind of paid for with grants and stuff, where it's just like, they could just pay for me to go. And she's like, and I was like, yeah, didn't you feel like your FAFSA, which is your FAFSA, well, like FAFSA, I don't remember what it stands for, financial aid. And she's like, what? And I'm like, your FAFSA. And she starts talking, and she's like, and I'm like, she's just sitting there, and she was like, pull your phone out, get on this website, and start doing it. And it was and I'm talking to her, and I ran into her like she was up at the up at Pickleman's a month later, and she's like, I got enrolled in school for next semester. I had no idea that this was even a thing I could do.
That's crazy.
And I'm like, yeah.
It's funny how people, they just assume oh, I can't afford that, or oh, I wouldn't be able to do that because of my situation. And
if you don't have anybody to tell you different,
right,
or to let you know that this is how all of us do it, man, I'm poor as they come, and I'm broke. I work at Pickleman's, bro. I'm making no money. I'm like, I'm not paying for school out of pocket. You know what I mean? I can't afford that.
Well, and these two girls, man, they got good parents. Their parents are home and all that, but they're probably their first language I think it's probably Spanish and all that. But just to show them, being it was super satisfying just to be to see their eyes light up, and then of course it's on them. They're set to graduate this year, and they're on course to do that. That's and they're amazing. Doing pretty good. And I'm like, we got to have a 3.0, and this is coming from a guy that had a
voted class favorite.
Voted class favorite. 32nd out of 55. And but they're making a run at it. Yeah. And that's what all these kids, I use those terms like that. You're making a run at it. Mm-hmm. I don't know exactly what that run looks like, but we're going to find out.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to grow up and be a police officer. You don't have to grow up and be the head of a Fortune 500 company. Right. You don't have to grow up and be a professional bodybuilder.
Right.
Have a good, productive life. Right. Work out hard. Be healthy.
Whatever. Set some goals and work towards them.
Have a good family. And I tell them, I'm like, what are your goals? Does everybody here, you want a pretty wife? You want a nice house? You want a nice car? It's almost like, I'd say primal, very elementary. But young folks don't go, oh, I really want to be the CEO of a company. I don't believe that. They go, man, I want a brand new Z71.
Yeah.
Trail Boss. I want my wife to look like whoever the popular social media girl is, or Taylor Swift or whatever.
Right.
And nothing else. Shout out to Taylor Swift. And and I want to live. And this is what's always funny to me. I want to have a real nice house, which is maybe the size of that room.
Yeah.
But it's everybody's idea of what is nice and what is this may not be the same, because everybody grew up different. And that's like with this Muscles and Mentors thing. I want to create a family and a culture, and going back to that, we've the Police Athletic League Palace has taken over a facility at Southeast 25th and Lindsay. It used to be Old Schilling Park, and it's a commercial quality. I mean, I think it's a commercial quality. I've worked in a lot of gyms. I've been a member.
It's nice.
20 plus gyms over my 27 years, and I've been in double that. When going out of town,
I was not expecting to walk in and the gym to be this size. There's a basketball court. There's a little skate park in the back. It's a cool place, man.
Dumbbells. They did go up to 100 pounds. Some of them walked away, so we're up to 50 now. But we're gonna see what we can do and get dumbbells to 100 pounds. 2 leg extensions, 2 leg curls, which is, there alone, I'm like, I've gone to commercial gyms that have one, and you're right. And I was making a joke today, so I joined Tri-City Fitness down there. Shout out Tri-City Fitness.
I love Tri-City Fitness.
I couldn't get, so the seal was broken on my pre-workout. I started it about the time I'm leaving Washington, got up Highway 9, and I'm like, listen to some music. I'm gonna pull inside, scrape in sideways and be like, jump out.
Yeah.
And beep, the door won't open.
Yeah.
It's a fluke.
Yeah.
Beep, door won't open. And I'm like, mother, beep. Well, I'm halfway through it now. It's DEFCON 0. Yeah. I got to get up to somewhere on the south side. One of my other, I'm like, I got to go, and I got to go now. And it was it was like, I told the gal that works there, I texted her and I said, hey, I couldn't get my card to work. And she's like, I am so sorry. And I'm like, oh, don't worry. It's like that scene from Hunger Games when the tubes come up out of the ground and like, boo. Gotta do some good. You know, that's how I am. I'm like, I started my drink. Because I mean, I almost time it to like, okay, when I'm pulling in, it needs to be, you know what I mean? Because it's a dosing issue. And
no, I don't. But, you know. I can see how you do it.
I'm sure you could imagine that. So anyway, going back to Mike Rogers, Sergeant Rogers, call Mike. So I do. So Mike's like, this is a God thing. I didn't get to, got off on, you know, I'm crazy.
Yeah, you're good.
He says, hey, taking over Schilling Park. Thomas, I had Thomas come out and meet me. I want you to come see it, Kevin.
I'm excited to see it.
It's pretty awesome. Got to name it. I'd had some ideas after the idea of it. The hub. It's going to be the hub of all activities. You know, there's sports camps from PAL. The weight pit, which you know, we don't want another YMCA. We want a culture. We want a 4-star field. We want a Steel Fitness. We want a Trinity Strength. You know, dare I say, Metroflex in Arlington. I've been there. Have you guys ever been there?
I haven't.
It's that place. You got to go if you ever get a chance. $20 for a day pass. Adam and I drove down there a couple Christmases ago. And we ate at In-N-Out Burger and got I did legs. Adam's like, what are you doing? I said, I'm doing legs, bro. What are you doing? He said, arms. I'm like,
you got a Metroflex.
Yeah, I'm like, bro, hey, we're going to here to Metroflex. They're not going to hang out with us anymore. So we take some pictures with some big guys. But you know, the old Ronnie Coleman leg press. It's like on this wooden block. And I'm like, hey, bro, if this falls off, will you get me to the truck? Because it's like, you're like, and I'm not joking. It's as sketchy as, you know, sketchy gyms.
I've heard it's a old school clanging and banging type of gym.
It is. It's a cool place, but that's the culture we want to create. You know, the inner part. I said, I was walking around for the first time. I come out, I walk around the side of the building, I look, and there's the most beautiful picture of the skyline.
It's amazing,
isn't it? It's like perfect.
It is.
Like I want to get that tattooed on my arm somewhere. I mean, that's beautiful. It's like this. And I'm like, there it is, Skyline, the pit, the weight pit, the inner gym part, the Skyline Gym.
Skyline Gym.
And we want to create that family, that brand, that culture, not for monetary gain, but so kids go, hey, man, I go to Skyline. I go to Skyline Gym, not like West Side Barbell. You know, those guys are. Right. They said Adam was telling me he read this deal about how, you know, they see people out wearing those shirts and they're like, "Who are you?" Yeah. I mean, I hate to say a gang. Right. Let's call it a family.
Right.
Yeah.
Because everybody's looking for a family, right?
Amen.
And so that's what I want to create. So they you know, I go around to these satellite schools. The program lasts for a semester. We track their grades, their disciplinary record, and their attendance. Here's what it starts out at. These are what we need. I want everybody eligible. You got to be eligible to be in this. This is no different than school sports. You can't be flipping out on your teacher. You can't be flipping out on the principal. You can't be getting arrested at home. You can't be caught vaping in the bathroom. We have a standard. Please be part of my family. Please be part of my family. I want you to be part of my family, which like you guys are. This is Triad. This is not Clay Cline. This is not Mike Rogers. This is not Lieutenant Shockley. It's not Fact even. It's a community. You know, it's maybe some of these commercial gyms throw in, Triad throws in, and we're all together and we go, you are now part of this family. So you got a family.
Right.
That's right.
Just because we here I go with the emotional bit. It's a good thing I'm such a tough guy. Let me go get some tattoos and lift weights here in a minute. Estrogen catching, just peaked up. No, man, I'm passionate about it. I know what it's like to, we all want that dad. We all want that family, you know, and come be, excuse me, okay. Whew. I knew it was going to come, man. When Lieutenant said that earlier, I was like, great. She started it in motion.
She called it.
Yeah. Come be part of this family. So do good. Let's get through this semester. At the end, hopefully we come up with a way to present them with a special edition OCPD, Oklahoma City Police Department Muscles and Mentors pump cover. A pump cover, man. This ain't some funky T-shirt. It's like you guys' T-shirts are always cool, man. They're wonderful. Love them.
Our secret is Alyssa designs a lot of them.
Well, and what you put, the shirts you buy, you know, you know, hey, Comfort Colors, next level. I mean, shout out to them. There's a little free advertising.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, Let's
Makes
all go.
a difference.
We ain't buying Gildan. Nobody's going to wear those. I don't care if they were $6. You wasted $6 because nobody's going to wear them anyway. We want something the kids go, yeah, man, I'm part of this family. This is who I am. Maybe a water bottle or a shaker cup, but they also get a membership to Skyline Gym. Beep. Hey, shout out to all my Muscles and Mentors people, whether it's on social media or by text or whatever. We're going, man, I'm going to run. This is Clay Cline, Muscles and Mentors. I'm going to run a leg day down at Skyline Gym. We got 20 people. Who all can make it? 20 openings, 25 or 30. We ain't turning nobody away. If 150 show up, I'm like, well, we just turned this
in the parking
to a
lot.
3-hour deal, but we're gonna get it done. We ain't turning anybody away. So y'all come on. I haven't really got to talk to any gyms about it yet, but I'm like, would somebody offer a 6-month or a year-long membership? You know, taking in some of this. You know, we're currently accepting donations for Skyline Gym at Southeast 25th and Lindsay, but and some of the equipment we may already have or we may not need, but hey, maybe I'll store that. And then I kind of thought of this today. I'm like, we store it in the back, and this kid, hey, I got a kid, Tyshawn. This little kid, man, he's 15. He's just ripped up, and he's just awesome. Love this kid. He's like, Clay, man, I got one dumbbell that's 25 pounds, and then I got one dumbbell that's 30. And I'm like, bam.
Yeah.
Okay, Tyshawn, now you got a weight. Now you got a squat rack.
Yeah.
And a couple of barbells.
Right.
And maybe they're the 1 inch. Maybe they're the concrete, whatever. But one of these days they're gonna be Olympic.
Right.
Yeah.
They're gonna be Olympic.
Right.
You know, you can't always start out at Lifetime.
Right.
Which I ain't ever been to. But you know what I mean? Sometimes
Right.
which don't we all know? And I hate using the word gains. Don't you know the best gains and the best times were with the concrete weight.
Yeah, man, the struggle. That's what it's like. That's the time we always look back to. Even with like business, we always look back to the man. You remember this? You remember that? Like it's always like
reminisce.
You guys ever watch The Office?
Oh yeah.
God, I'm gonna cry when I say this. There's a scene on there, and they're interviewing Andy, and it's toward the end of the show, and he says, "You know, I wish there was a way to know you're in the good old days before you left them."
Yeah.
And you're like,
no, that just punched me in the gut. Yeah,
because it's the truth. Whether I'm at the watermelon patch or riding around on the south side going call to call, thinking, man, I sure wish I could go eat. Man, what I would do to go back.
Yeah.
Right.
And the lives and people I got to help. And I think one day I'll look back, and I'm stressed right now. I told y'all earlier, like, my life was easier when I was just in fact, and like before I started to have this vision, whatever you want to call it, I don't know, this epiphany, whatever. It was a lot easier, man, because now it's all day, it's in the evening. But this is an opportunity to leave a legacy when I retire and go, man, we got to do something special. It wasn't, this isn't a Clay Cline deal.
Yeah.
It's not a Triad deal or Thomas or Kevin deal. It's all of us, man. I mean, everybody, people had a friend from Washington. He's a firefighter down there. Good kid, man. I love I say kid. They're all kids to me now. He texts me, goes, hey, I saw what you're doing. He said, I got a brand new some brand of barbell. Bar. I'm sure he gave $150 for it or something. He goes, I don't even use it anymore, man. He goes to Commercial Gym. He's like, I would love to drop it off to you. I'm like, that's another brick in the what is that? Another brick in the wall.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah,
another, whatever you want to call it, man. Another piece in the puzzle.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we got to have it all. I mean, come bring it.
Yeah.
Bring it. You don't have to back up with the hammer strength leg press, although Southeast 25th and Lindsay, if you have one. Hammer strength leg press. We sure loaded down with 45s on each side. We will take it, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And anyway, that's my vision now with the extra equipment and stuff that we get. Like, go, Tyshawn, come here, son. It's a Christmas in January.
Right.
And the kid's going to use it.
Right.
I'll show y'all his picture later. I'm like, this dude, he's just easy to love.
You after going through the program, you can tell who's gonna actually use the equipment.
And the girls. I got these 15, 16-year-old girls like, Clay, will you take me to work out? And of course, the vision for that will be a female mentor, whether it's an officer or my wife or your wife, your wife, whatever, a female, and me going, okay, here's the workout. Let's go.
Right.
This is fixing to, man, you fix, because girls, they want to look a certain way and feel a certain way.
I can see it now. Once they get that little boop, they can come in and it'll be a whiteboard or say Clay's workout of the day. Yep. You'll be programming stuff, and it's cool, man. Like getting to see, I know how passionate you are about this, and so like getting to see you bring a couple of passions in your life. One, helping people, and two, you understanding how much of an impact like weightlifting and those kind of things can have on someone's life. All we have, I feel like sometimes, is opportunity to invoke a little change for the long term in people. And I think that this is one of those things where, like you talk about this legacy, this creates a platform for a lot of opportunity for lives to change, you know? And sometimes it's going to be big changes and sometimes it's going to be small changes. But it's like, if we can inflict at any given moment a little bit of positive change, like, man, what more could we be asking for? And so I think this is so cool, man.
Well, it's, you know, coming to the fact unit was a blessing, and I was ready to punch out. You know, it's been a wonderful career, a blessing to serve. I mean, and I was a uniform patrol cop for 20 years. I was in a couple of shootings and different things. I mean, like, man, it was taxing and many, you know, physical confrontations, chases.
Yeah,
you see terrible, which in life, man, you can't go out this door without seeing terrible things, let alone as a uniformed police officer in South Oklahoma City. This is a good way, you know. At the time, I'm like, that's the most important work you can do. And then you look at this and go, okay, now God, show me. This is, you know, maybe this is the most important work you can do.
I'm curious, obviously, with going over to the fact unit. It sounds like the parameters of what you're able to do for work are just so wide, which is so cool, because that's where something like this program is born. But I'm just curious, like, what kind of guidelines are you given for your day to day? Like, is it like, Clay, just get out there and help people, or?
Well, we have general guidelines for the supervisors that are listening, and the command staff that's listening. I always tell people we don't have boundaries. Like the beginning of last month, there was a day where we went and picked up furniture. We got some furniture donated. Some other young man, one of the young kids that I mentor, his house burned down. I mean, he got out just in his underwear, and I mean, his house burned down. His dog and it's terrible because somebody had left the oven on in his house. It wasn't his fault. Let's say that. And so we got to, you know, we get up, we drove an hour north, picked up some furniture, back, unloaded it at his sister's house, who just turned 18, and they're raising themselves, and unloaded it. And on top of, hey, going over here to get them some groceries. Sometimes, and we're so great, you know, it's not that. Sometimes we pay for things out of our own pocket. It's a blessing to do that.
Sure.
Right.
Once again, I will use my badge to walk in and go, hey, is the manager here? Somebody I could talk to about, I don't know, helping two kids that are raising themselves to eat because they're starving.
Right.
You know, and it sells itself. Like I talked about the pregnancy test, it could be that. It could be you need to make better grades. It could be going to their house and walking in and going, you know, don't you ever lay hands on your dad again, son, young lady.
Right.
You don't want me on you.
Right.
It could be helping somebody through somebody the parents beat on each other last night and they're both in jail. I mean, yeah, man. Honestly, there's.
Yeah. So, and sorry if I'm prying too much. Are there certain like families that you're assigned to, or is it?
It's pretty. I mean, if we get a call or an email, I like to say I've got something for everybody. I got a hardcore gangster. He ain't coming into our program. But I tell you what, if you're reaching out, why don't you meet me in the parking lot? We'll sit in my truck.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll talk. These are things you can do to gain my trust.
Right.
And the more you gain my trust, the more I'm going to work to gain yours. Back and forth to where maybe you are in here soon.
Right.
But it can't just be, I'm ready to change my life. I mean, you know, and there's nothing, I love that.
Right.
But it like, okay, but you got
takes work.
You got to prove that.
Right.
You got to prove that. It's kind of like, I always like to say, and I think I've told you this before, you know, all these people like, hey, I want to eat like you eat. I want to do what you do. And, you know, my thing is I don't eat processed sugar. And when people say, you don't eat processed sugar, I go, no. And they're like, but like, except for on Christmas, right? No. Now, except for on Sunday, you eat a Snickers, right? No. And they're like, so you don't eat processed sugar? And I'm like, I don't eat processed sugar. Now, I didn't just wake up when I was 22 and go, I don't eat processed sugar anymore.
Right.
I like to do what they call nickel and dime it, or what I call nickel and dime it. Okay, I'm eating 4 Snickers a day. So tomorrow I'm going to eat 2.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then 3 weeks later, I'm eating 1. Well, then 3 weeks after that, I'm eating none. Now I'm not eating Skittles.
Yeah.
Now I'm only drinking 1 Dr. Pepper a day. Now I'm drinking diet, and then you look up in 5 years.
Small changes.
Yeah.
And you're good.
That's like, we do it the opposite direction all the time when it comes to like helping people nutrition. It's just like, hey, every time you sit down, just have a complete source of protein in front of you. If you're going to sit down to eat, just have a piece of meat.
That's a great way to do it.
That's another. Don't worry about anything else. The rest can be French fries and
that's another nickel and dime
barbecue
thing,
sauce and Dr. Pepper. But but make sure you got some meat in front of you, and then once you get comfortable with that, let's take a next step.
Well, and it's no different than trying to get out of a certain way of life. Mm-hmm. Like you can't just show up and go, I'm changed.
Right.
No, man, you can't. I can't bring you in here around these other ones. Mm-hmm. Because these other ones, they're fine. That's all I said. Like, hate it when, guys go into prison, guys and girls, and they come out and they're like, well, damn, they've been in prison for a year. Mm-hmm. They're not better.
They're around everybody else in prison.
Yeah. They've learned to live that lifestyle. That's what I believe.
Right.
And I'm not saying don't have prisons. You got to have prisons.
Yeah, sure.
But you see what I mean?
But you can understand how that can happen.
Oh,
It's just like, now
I'm trying to survive in here.
Right.
So anyway, fact is, like I said, really, when I was at the courthouse, my life was easier, way easier. Mm-hmm. And then when I came to fact, my life was easier. And now with muscles and mentors, I'm like, oh. I mean, I told Cassie today, I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Well, I told you this on the phone earlier too, though. But like, anything that's great isn't going to be easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if it's easy, everybody do it. I mean, we all know that, whether it's working out or eating right or whatever.
I think this is one of those things where it's like, it's going to have its storms and its challenges and things, but you're going to sit back one day. Maybe we'll be there. Yeah. Maybe I can help point it out to you. I like to do this with Kevin sometimes too. It's like, take a step back. You got 30 kids in the Skyline Gym working out right now, and you're going to look at it and it's all going to be worth it.
Well, and you guys, and it's worth it. These kids are worth it. And that's what sometimes we get caught up on, is this a PAL program? Is it a FACT program? Is it Clay's program? And I'm like, no, man, this ain't a Clay. I mean, I do have some control over it. Mm-hmm. I don't even say I invented it, man. It just kind of came to be. Mm-hmm. But if it's going to be successful, and if it's going to be monumental, if it's going to be epic, if it's going to be, bam, it's got to be all of us. Mm-hmm. Because you guys contribute something different than I contribute, and I contribute something different than y'all contribute. And Ray Willingham and my friend, one of my friends that's a gym owner from Norman's like, hey, I'll come, and I want to. He actually goes into gyms and consults on how to set them up and how to upkeep the equipment. Because I can tell you how to maintain the equipment to where you don't have to get it serviced but every 5 years. And things like that are huge. Yeah. Because that's something we don't have to worry about then. Because we're not selling memberships.
Right.
There are no membership sales.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe some T-shirts. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what it looks like, man.
You got to take care of your stuff.
Yeah.
Man, you talked about a couple of things that's really like, I've related to a lot of it being bigger than yourself. That was a big reason for me getting into business and helping to start Try It in the first place. Was I wanted to help create something that was bigger than myself, and it's taken way more than myself. Where there's always been at least one other person helping to build everything, and we sell supplements. That's the core of our when you look at us on paper, that's our business. But I think anybody that's been on our doors even just once, a lot of times will know that's just how we pay our bills. What our main goal is just be part of the community and help people with their health. Mm-hmm.
And that's why you guys are special. And I've told you this, and I've told you this, and I'll tell it again, and I'll say it on record now, I guess. Yeah. It's a culture. Yeah. Just like I was talking about with 4-Star and Steel Fitness, Metroflex, Trinity Strength. It's a culture. What makes those places different than the YMCA? Mm-hmm. And I'm not ragging on YMCA. I've been to them and like, hey, there's some cool machines and maybe a workout person. A lot of people started out there. It's not really a culture. Triad is a culture. Like I said, I'm working out at some gym down in Dallas, and I'm like, there's a couple of Triad shirts in here. What the heck? You know, it's that culture. And of course, I identify with it. Like, man, people have said, oh man, you got an orange triangle tattooed on your chest. And I'm like, well, you ain't ever seen me with the shirt off. But I believe in what you guys do. And I've, from the first time I was in there and I see how you're talking to a young lady or maybe an older gal or guy that you're like, that's obviously not a workout. That's not a gym culture person. That's not a mean state. Just they're showing up like,
yeah, figuring it out.
And I've always given y'all my example of you go into one of the chains and they're like, what are you using? My name's Chip. And I love the name Chip. No pun.
I don't.
I'm Chip. What do you use? Well, I use creatine and whey protein. And what brand do you use? And you're like, well, I use XYZ and AT1, 2, 3, 4. And yeah. Do you? Okay. That's okay. That's commercial grade. What we've got is pharmaceutical grade.
Love that term.
Yeah, and you're like,
yeah.
Hey, can I just get one quick protein bar? I'm going to say I don't want any metrics right now. Any Tiger's Milk. Tiger's Milk bars from 1992. But I saw what you guys do. Here's the educated information. Here's the educated answer. And it's not, come right over here to this section. You're like, is this y'all? It's not that. But how do you create that culture? And it's not by me going, this is Clay Cline and this is my vision and this is what we're doing and that is how it is. And I'm taking this with me and we're going worldwide and I'm trying to get rich off. It's not that's not my legacy. I want my legacy to be in Dallas and to see a Muscles and Mentors shirt on a couple of guys that are working out and maybe some guys. Maybe you overhear him while he's pressing on a hammer strength chest machine. Hey, you know what? This ain't the hardest thing you're ever going to lift. This ain't the hardest thing. You think this workout's hard? Huh? Wait till you try raising a family. You know how much food is? You know what it's like on Friday night when your friends show up and they want to smoke dope, go rob a liquor store, whatever it is. That. Now you're talking life decisions. And I do that when I'm working out with these kids. I mean, it's cheesy. It is, man. It's cheesy, but you're like, so tell me about your family life.
Right.
What's that like?
Right.
Yeah. How are your grades? Because I know you want to tell your teacher to F off sometimes. You think I don't want to throw my hands up? Right. Been banging my head on this wall in law enforcement for 28 years. You think I don't? I'm happily married. I love my wife, but you think there ain't times I'm like, Ghost. That's my truck. I nickname all my vehicles Ghost. It's a white Tundra, white Tundra. It's a black and white and all that. I'm like, I'm loading Ghost with all my underwear and socks and my workout shoes and my pre-workout.
That's right.
From Triad.
Leaving the treadmill.
And I ain't carrying the. I don't want the I don't want the throne of fire. You can have the throne of fire. It's too much pressure anyway. It's like Game of Thrones. You're like, I don't want to sit on the melted sword throne. There's times, and I know Cassie won't admit, well, she will admit it. She's like, man, you really piss me off sometimes. But much like everything else, much like Muscles and Mentors and the hours and hours and stress, because I'm worried.
Sure.
I'm constantly worried, like, is this going to go off? God, is this your plan? Please guide me. But I know I'm like, but what if this is generational, changes generations?
Well, I think it's hard to argue right now because I think it's been one of those situations where you've said it and Kevin talked about it as well, but it is like it's one of those things like who wouldn't want to be involved in this? Who wouldn't want to help? And I think it's also been one of those things that you got a lot of people who are really excited to help in any way that they can, and I think it's really cool to see because you start to see, like friend of the store and friend of yours, and he's been mentioned a few times on here, and huge shout out to him is Ray Willingham, owner of Strength Factory, turn into social media and, asking the gym community and the gym owners just today, asking for donations for this program. And so I think it's something that, I want to bring up on here too. Like if you guys have, if anybody has anything, you know what I mean? Just something that maybe they're not using, that we could get into the hands of these kids. Yeah. You know what I mean? Cause like you said, you're not selling gym memberships, you know what I mean? This is going to be a donation, publicly funded kind of thing. And so, the more help that, this program can get from the community and the wonderful fitness community that we have, the better, because this is a real opportunity to take some things that might be getting some dust in the corner and really help change some lives with it.
Yeah. What's the best way if someone does have something that they're able to donate to reach out to you?
Well, so here we go. My number, the bat phone, 405-365-4950. That's 405-365-4950. My name is Clay Cline. Be glad to talk with you about the program. Be glad to graciously accept any donations for the kids. I'm open to suggestions. And I know there's grants and things, and we haven't even stepped off into that. We're trying to get the gym operational, hopefully around the middle of March, latest. The program kicks off this Thursday. I'm super excited. Like I said, was ready to break the seal last Thursday, and of course, God had other plans. Man, we ended up with 4 inches of snow, which is like having 3 feet in Colorado.
Yeah,
but down here we're like,
not prepared,
honey. I'm going to go to Walmart, and it's kind of like Hunger Games. Then you're like, may the odds be forever in your favor. And I'm like, they don't have the bread. I don't know what to do.
Everybody on the highway driving 38 miles an hour in the passing lane.
Yeah, we overdo it either way here in Oklahoma, man.
Yeah.
We just need a tornado to happen during a snowstorm, and you'll be like, now the circle is complete.
Yeah.
Well, outside of donating gym equipment, man, is there anything else us as the Oklahoma City or even anybody in the fitness or community in general can do to help outside of?
That's a great question. I appreciate you bringing that up, keeping me on point. We need mentors, because it's one thing for Clay, Sergeant Cline, to tell him something, but sometimes maybe I got a guy that might respond better to one of you guys, a little bit younger, closer to their age, or maybe even a 22 or 23-year-old that can go, hey man, I ran with the gang, or hey, I made crappy grades, or man, I did this or I did that, but whether they're but now this and this, and really just being present. There's no magical formula to mentoring. Hold on a sec, let me. Oh yeah, section 5, subsection Q plainly states when the kid says he doesn't know how to do math, that you say that it's not that. It's so I mean, really, man, like tell me about your family life. What's your family life like? Is mom, dad at home? What's that like? What's that relationship like? I like that when I'm taking, like I got a kid in the car with me in the truck. I'm like, what's your favorite food? What's your favorite pizza? What's your favorite cereal? Haven't eaten cereal in years, but I miss it. And I want to, like you, Lucky Charms, Captain Crunch, like honeycomb. Like, don't tell me Cheerios. Don't tell me plain Cheerios. Get out of the truck. We're done. No muscles and mentors for you, son. No. It's just little things, man. Just showing interest. There's a kid. He's in our FACT program. Good kid. I've known this kid since he was a little kid. He's one of my good friends' son, and his name is T-Gion. And I love this kid. So his mom tells me last week, she goes, I want you to take TG on to work out. Or she said, Clay, when are you starting this workout program? And I said, well, it's supposed to start this Thursday. Snowmageddon's on the way, so we may not, maybe next week. And she goes, well, so that's going to be starting. I said, yeah. And she goes, when will you take TG on? And TG on's dad's a police officer, close friend of mine, wonderful guy. And honestly, his wife, Miss, she's amazing too. Love her. They're for their family. I said, well, I sure can. So I walk over to T.J. and he's kind of, hey man, he's shooting bass. I said, get over here and let me talk to you. So he's like, I said, hey, I want you to go work out with me. He goes, oh, man, I don't know. Of course, he's a Boston Celtics fan, so I'm like, of course. Shout out to the Thunder. And I said, no, I want you to go work out with me. And he goes, hey, Clay, that ain't my thing. And we always talk about movies. And I go, movies ain't my thing. And he goes, man, you always talk with me about movies. And I go, yeah, because it is your thing. Mm-hmm. And he's like, huh. I said, how about this? I said, 2 weeks from today, we go work out and then you choose the movie. Mm-hmm. He says, okay. So we're going to go work out next Monday. Here's the catch. The movie he chose is that Wolfman. Have you seen the previews? Yeah. Cassie and I were laying in bed watching TV the other night, and she's like, "There's your movie," and I'm like, "Great, this is like demonic. I'm not going to sleep." Which I'm not a horror movie guy. I'm like, "Thanks a lot, T-John. Give me some that Define Sleep or whatever." Like,
so you're not going to hold back on them in this workout.
Yeah. I'm like, oh yeah.
We'll call this the Wolfman workout.
Like, well, anyway, I'm going to need a bottle of the Define Sleep. I'm like, how much of this can I take? Because I'm like, I don't know if y'all seen the previews, but I'm like, oh, this is, should have not thought of it. You know what I mean? So I guess Wicked was out of the picture. No. So anyway, that's the thing, man. Sorry, right. I'm yelling. No, that's the thing. Like, okay, we're going to do what you do, or we're going to do, what I want to do, and then we'll do what you want to do.
Right.
But all this time, he thought I was a movie buff. I'm like, T-John, I haven't been last movie Cassie and I went and saw was Maverick.
Yeah.
Which was like, was it 3? I don't know.
A while ago.
I'm like, so, but he's this movie buff, and that's what, and that's when I realized, like, that's, I think these are things I've done subconsciously, but that's what we need is mentors to answer your question, your original question. Come on all the way back around to mentors. We need people that want to go, hey, and this ain't got to be 5 hours. I'm not telling them come pick them up every time you go to the gym. I mean, hey, Saturday morning, let's hit legs.
Right.
Then maybe not even next week, maybe 2 weeks from now. But maybe a few calls and texts till then.
Right.
And this vision, for Muscles and Mentors, the way it feels like it's taken off. The unfortunate part, I don't think I'm going to get to mentor kids one-on-one like I was. It's probably going to be more like mentoring mentors and people in the program.
Yeah.
But also realize I can mentor 20 or 30 kids, or I can mentor maybe 30 or 40 or 50 mentors. It's exponential. It's like, in the pond, you throw a rock in the pond and the rings.
Right.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, anyway, my life was a lot easier.
Yeah.
That's you talked about earlier, recognizing when the good old days, or hoping that you'd recognize that when you're in the good old days that you notice it at that moment. And I think that is genuinely where, sorry to get a little bit off topic, but that's where the name of this podcast came from, was recognizing, because I was, in our first couple of years of business and trying to figure things out, not making any money, working crazy hours. And it was listening to other people that had become successful. Yeah. And they always talked about the days that they were struggling and not making anything, and and working like a dog, and it was and they almost talked about it reminiscently, that they almost kind of miss those times, and that helped me realize like, okay, like, I'm I get here at 9 a.m. and I don't go home until 11 p.m. a lot of nights, and I'm taking naps underneath the desk because I didn't sleep, because I'm working out till midnight, or we go full days where I'm like grinding and doing everything we can to get people in the doors, and nobody comes in, and we're just trying to figure it out, and I'm working 2 sample events every single day in between everything else that's going on, and again, still nobody coming in, but it was like it's doing all this, and it's like I think this is going to pay off. I think we're starting to see some things starting to pay off, but I'm hearing about these people that are successful reminiscing on days that seem like they're the days that I'm in right now, or that we're in as a team right now. And it's like, oh, okay, like I should probably recognize that this is actually a really cool period of time. Like, there's a lot of reasons that it sucks, but and that's where the name came from, was when I just originally started posting, was you hear about all these successful entrepreneurs talk about how they became successful, and they talk about the times that, prior to them, when they were struggling and trying to figure it out. And it was like, man, that'd be really cool to maybe try and share what I hope I'm in those times right now. I hope we make it to become successful. Yeah. And I think it'd be really cool to share some of those times in more real time, or share some of those stories in more real time in the journey that, to try and become successful. So.
I need to hear things like that, because I got to pump the brakes a little and go, the hours are long. I laid awake. I was laying awake last night in bed. I did last week, thinking of those cheesy, things, and then that I talked about earlier, and then last night, thinking about today, thinking about this, thinking about just that post that Ray Willing and people already reaching out, and what direction's this going? I was at Wheeler Elementary. I had she's a counselor at Wheeler, not how I say elementary, Wheeler Middle School. 14, 15, 13, 12, 13, 14, 15-year-olds reach out to me just today. And she's like, when can you start? Like now, like here. Then the PE teacher's like, hey, we need you. This is exciting. I can't wait. And this school's going to want this and this, so it's taken off like I've never seen anything like it. Taken off like wildfire. And I don't exactly know what the formula is. And I'm super fascinated by the formula to creating cultures, whether it's you guys. And I see little things like we talked about the shirts. It's a walking billboard or whatever, but it's way more than that. I think it's how you treat people. And that's why, people can usually tell how passionate I am about things, whether it's
lead by example though.
This or my wife or my kids or working out or muscles and mentors or just doing the right thing. You guys, my love for you guys, and that's what, people in my passion, when I get upset, maybe I'm like, get a little choked up, and I'm like, that's why I always come up with that joke. Thank God I'm a tough guy. You know what I mean? 'Cause who's snickering over there about me? I did I think it was, I don't know, the media showed up to one of our shop with the cops about a month ago. And I'm talking about these kids not having what we call a normal Christmas. That's a line I use. And it kind of hit me, growing up without a father. But that's not what makes me choked up, man. I'm good. Thank you, Lord. You've blessed me. Not that I've arrived, but I'm good. What I think of is these kids not having dads. And I got kind of choked up. And I didn't say like, hey, don't put that on there. I'm like, they won't put that on the news. Turn it on. I'm like, son of a first thing, man. Okay, and then I get it together. But, in talking about those hardships, what I thought of just now is when Cassie and I first got married, we'd both been through divorces. I mean, I hate to say lost everything, but we did. She lost her house, and I signed my house over, and because I was like, hey, this is very unhealthy. Just want to be done. I know financially, my attorney, anybody would go, you're an idiot. Don't, grab me by the ears and go, do not do this. And I'm like signing as he's doing that.
Yeah.
Because there's things that are more important than money. And so Cassie and I, we got together and got married, and was living in my grandpa's old farmhouse in Goldsby. It was like the odd couple, modern odd couple. Grandpa was 80, I was 40. And, I'm walking around in my underwear cooking steak for dinner, and he's like, I'm tired of steak, Clay. Come watch this football play. And I remember I was going to watch a football play, and Rose, our Catahoula cur dog, she'd reach up on the table and ate the whole steak. And I couldn't get it out of her mouth. At that point, I'm like, if I get it out, we're going to eat it, Grandpa.
You lived a sitcom.
Exactly, yeah. So Cassie and I get together, and we get married, and we're living in her mom's garage. And man, it's like cold like right now. And we got like towels shoved under the garage door and a heater. For Christmas, she bought me this heater. We've still got it in our living room now. And we're very blessed. We've got a wonderful house and all this stuff. But it looks like a little fake fireplace. And we're like, I think it's supposed to warm up in like 3 months. This is going to be fine. And like, I'm going down and buying a truck, and I'm like, how's the credit going to look when they see that, but and it was tough. Times were tough. My kids were, they had a few problems with it, and we're all crying it out, and her kids and all that. And, but looking back, man, it was pretty special. There again, we were in the good old days, man. You're 40 years old, and it's just, easy. And,
one thing I think to give you a little bit of confidence, I think at least from my perspective, kind of going back to you talking about like building a culture. I know for me, whenever I, obviously I think Triad does this, and it's one of the reasons why I love Triad. But the things that make me want to be a part of a culture, or that I sense as like culture building, is right way to put this is like when the like main objective's the main objective, right? And so like when I say that is for Triad, let's use like that example, is like our main objective is to help people.
Yeah.
Everything else is secondary to that. Our main objective is to help people. You know, the little silly slogan that is like, care more about the people walking through the door than the money in the drawer. Like,
I've heard you say that before, and it's super. Yeah, it's a good one.
If you care about that, everything else comes into play. Everything else, it'll work out, right? Like, don't worry about it, right? Like, that's, let Kevin worry about that. I'll worry about the people. He can worry about the stupid stuff. But it's like stupid stuff. but I really do feel like that is what has contributed a lot to Triad's success, or Triad's, like as you've put it, like having this culture. And I think it's a reason people want to be a part of the culture is because it is genuine. It is not like, hey, look over here while I'm doing this over here.
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
no, this while I'm doing this. You know what I mean? It's like, and so those are the things that, like, when people see authenticity, and I think like we try to take it a step further with, like, the podcast, and try to show, this is who we are, and this is, why we do the things that we do. But like, Clay, I don't think there's going to be a doubt in anyone's mind from now until the end of time that the most important thing and the only thing you care about when it comes to this program is the kids. And like, that's the thing that people get behind. That's the thing that like lights people's hair on fire. They want to get involved. They want to, again, Facebook's posts getting shared, people talking about it, people wanting to donate, people wanting to help, people wanting to do those kind of things. Like you're, even the other people in the department who've been like, hey, this is it. And it all boils down to, at least for me, and what I see is like, it all boils down to, and why you're the perfect person to be in this position is, one, I know how strong you are and I know how heavy of a load you can carry. And two, like, you die trying before you sacrifice this not being about the kids.
Yeah. That's a big thing for me. Like, it's gotta stay pure.
Yeah.
It's gotta be, and once again, like you just said, and I believe my worries, and I've got a lot of them. I'm a worrier. It's the kids, man. We just remember, I don't care who, the politics of what unit it's being run out of, or this and this and that, man. It is about the kids. Yep. And the good thing is my supervisor and my captain and the command on up to the command staff and the city itself. It sounds cheesy, but like, we have a really good relationship with our citizens. The Oklahoma City Police Department does, right. and I believe it filters down that Oklahoma standard. And that's another thing. You're like, oh gosh, can you get any cheesier? It's the truth. When we go, hey man, we want kids in here lifting weights, finding their family, finding their place, because we're all going to find it. We're all going to find a place. Whether it's in a positive environment, grabbing a workout with you, Thomas, or grabbing a workout with you, Kevin, or oh, that's Triad. Those are my guys, man. They support Muscles and Mentors. I'm a Muscles and Mentors guy. Whether they want to take their mom in and stick their chest out, and y'all go, hey.
Right.
Look, it's Stevie, or or whatever, and you go, hey, Stevie, man, you got one of our new shakers? No, you do now. I mean, just like, I've seen you guys. The other day, I was at the Norman store last week, and there was a girl, really nice gal in there. She used to go to one of the gyms I go to, and she goes to another gym that I used to go to, and
you've been to all the gyms. We know.
Oh, I like to hit them up. You gotta like, and got a lot of friends and all, and just like to, it's just a cool thing. And you got, hey, look who's talking. I know you guys make it around, both of you. And so, she had this kid. I think he was 10 or 11, 12 maybe, probably at 10 or 11. I go, son, what's your name? Man, bless his heart, I don't remember now, but it's like Christian or something cool. I'm like, that's a cool name. You like to lift weights? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, me too. I said, you like, you eat junk, man? You eat candy and stuff, candy bars? And he's like, yes, sir. And I go, you like any of these? And he's at Norman, it's the snack wall.
Yeah.
And my thing, like, I don't know if you've ever heard my examples, but like, how a firecracker stand, you go to a firecracker stand and you're like, look at all the beautiful colors.
Yeah, right.
This is the red, white, and blue extravaganza. And over here you have the snake pit. And over here you have...
You're actually naming products, pre-workouts in our store.
Yes, the Joker's Wild right over here, and 4 of clubs or whatever. You're like, I'll take that.
Yeah.
And he goes, and the pre-workout to me is like that. Like, I'm like, ooh, so awesome. Yeah. And then the protein's like the more solid, like, okay, I need protein. I've got like 17 different pre-work. But anyway, so the kid's over there and it's kind of fun too, and I go, well, pick something out. And I think he picked up an Anavar bar. I don't remember what, a First Form bar or something. And I go, hey, Christian. And I'd already paid for my stuff. And Cassie was with me. And, of course, I spent my obligatory 70 to 100, whatever. Because I'm like, man, well, give me that too. Yeah. And I go, hey, charge me for that real quick. And Christian goes, hey, it's on the house. I think it was Christian.
Yeah.
I think it was.
Good for Christian.
And he goes, that's on the house, Clay. And I go, right. I said, thanks, man.
Yeah.
And I told her, I said, that's what you get when you come here. So that's a family. They don't do that at Walmart. Only family.
Well, man.
Anyway, who does the editing?
Ryan.
Ryan, I will hunt you down. No, man, put it in there if it sells. No, man, it's a family, and not everybody does that.
Well, man, I can't tell you how excited we are to contribute to Muscles and Mentors, man. It's man, that is from early on, being part of different charitable causes has been when I was younger, I didn't think I would ever say this, but it was genuinely has been one of my favorite things about this.
Yeah.
And we started doing that before I was even writing myself a paycheck. Is we would do a round of T-shirts, and because we would barely have enough money to do one round of T-shirts, and we would do them for a certain cause. I think the very first one we did was hurricane relief. And so we donated to the Red Cross, and it was, we put a Triad logo on there, and people had been asking for shirts. Hey, when are you going to do Triad shirts? I was like, I don't know how many, how much we can afford, or how many we'll sell, and we finally did a small order, and we did, all the profits got donated to Red Cross, when you buy the shirt. And it's like, that was such a cool moment for me. It's like, we got more Triad shirts out there, and that was really cool. But like, we got the getting to see people coming in wanting to help with the cause was so cool. And we've done that multiple times a year with a lot of our shirts. We've done with the customers coming in the stores. We've done like food drives. We did this year. We did a toy drive, and getting to walk with like 3 big grocery bags, or big like trash bags full of toys that were donated. Getting like walk in and donate those was like such a cool moment. And doing we did one. We've done some kind of one-off ones where it's like someone we know needs some help, and so we'll raise some funds and donate to that. Or with the wildfires in Hawaii, we did a quick T-shirt and donated some funds to that. So it's always a fun thing, but there's never been a cause that I think we've ever been more excited about, and it's it just fits so perfectly. So obviously, there's no cause that we won't donate to or try and raise funds for. But to help youth is always been a soft spot for me, because it typically are a lot of times people in situations that don't have the means to help themselves. A lot of times don't have the know-how, and to do it in a way where you're helping them in a gym setting where it's something we're very knowledgeable with. And not only can we help with, try and send our employees to help be mentors and be part of the gym community, but trying to be the hub of everything fitness related in Oklahoma City, we can broadcast this to everybody else in the Oklahoma City area and get because as excited as we are, if our customers are even half, if we've got even a dozen customers that are half as excited as we are, it's like we've got an army, man. Man, above all that, like it just, again, because it all fits so perfectly, and the cherry on top, man, is the fact that it's being created and it's being run by someone that we know personally and are close friends with, man, it just is perfect. It's something that, we definitely try and help out a number of different causes. Man, this is something we'll be involved with for the end of time, man.
Well, and I know you guys, it's funny you talking about helping people. I've sent you guys, people, they either see me at the gym and go, hey, what do you take? And I'm either wearing a triad shirt or do you take this? Do you take that? Or how do you do this? Or how do you stay lean? How do you do this? Not that I'm many things, but you know what I mean.
Sure.
And, man, go to triad. This, I use this, and this. Their prices are great. They rival or beat online, and that's my little triad. They rival or beat, oftentimes beat. We will match any price out there. So I've seen a lot of great people here. A couple that come to mind that I want to mention and give a shout to. Zach Perez.
Yeah,
surely you know Zach.
Oh yeah,
we've spent over 100 hours together.
I think you know Zach. I met him at Trinity Strength.
Yeah.
Years ago, and he's like, "Hey man, how do you stay? What do you ache? Where do you?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's what's up, man. That's what's up." And Melanie, his wife, they were wonderful people. Yeah. And I said, "Man, you're gonna have to triad sports nutrition," and they did, and he did, and that's
how I got to know him.
And and I also want to give a shout out to Jenny Bryan. So we were friends before she ever got into law enforcement, and she was friends with Cassie and Cassie's friend group, and then her and I became friends, and she got hired at Norman PD. And I was like, yeah, you need to go into triad. She's like, triad? Okay, I'll have to check it out. Of course, this is years ago. And of course, God rest her soul, her funeral was last week. She had 3 different bouts with breast cancer over the past 12 years. And, she was working patrol wearing body armor with the port coming out of her chest. Everybody's tough and all of this. Oh, what a warrior. And I'm not making, but I am a little bit. Everybody's a warrior and warrior spirit. Nobody's tough as this girl, and she's bad at, and she was. And man, I've known 28 years of doing this and the culture that I've, and to be a patrol officer in South Oklahoma City on nights, I mean, you meet some pretty bad people, awesome. I mean, tough guys and girls. That's what I'm trying to say. Badasses,
Yeah.
She was one. And, but looking back, and she would be like, oh, I went to try and got a, pre-workout is my drug, and I know you guys did some things for her, and it just, you guys are awesome, and I wouldn't send just anybody to y'all, because that's a sacred thing to me, because it's my reputation too, like, hey, Clay, and I say, you tell them Clay Cline sent you. I said, I don't get any money out of the deal, but they're my friends, and I don't want any. What I want I want my friend to, this person that walked, I want you to be happy, and I want you to get the real info and be part of that family and be part of that culture. I keep using that word. That's important. Yep. It's not just another chain. It's not some national chain where they're like, well, that's commercial grade, but this is pharmaceutical grade. And if you buy one, you get the second one half off. You know what I mean? We don't want that. We don't want another YMCA at the Skyline Gym. We want a kid that wakes up and goes, man, I had a chance to get high last night, but guess what? We're doing legs in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm going to legs with Clay.
Proud to go to the gym.
I'm going to legs with Thomas. Kevin's going to pick me up, and we're going to do arms, man, because I want arms like him. Yeah, proud.
Yeah.
Ownership. Yeah, when they and another thing, when they see some knucklehead, like, okay, and this is going to be a big deal. If you are 120 pounds, do not put 4 plates on each side of the squat rack. You know what I mean? Like, and then I want those guys that go, hey, don't do that. That's stupid. You're gonna kill yourself and your ACL. B, that's dumb. C, you're gonna break the equipment. And that's and I believe we can. I believe we're on the road to creating that.
Absolutely.
So
yeah. Well, again, we are extremely excited to be involved. We've got I don't want to give too much away, but we've got a couple of things that I'm really excited about that we got to talk about a little bit before.
Yeah.
But Got to get some things kind of lined up to make sure that
be on the lookout though.
Yeah, but man, we've got some cool things to get our entire community, the Triad community that's here in Oklahoma City, and obviously very much part of the fitness community involved with what you're doing, and I'm really excited to bring that to everybody else and help the cause, man.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me here. I think it's an honor. I hope I didn't talk too much, man.
No, not at all.
I'm like, okay, trying to get it out there and blah, blah, blah. And I'll wake up at 2 a.m. and go, man, maybe they'll have me on next. Now, I wanted to get it all out there. I didn't want y'all to have to work too hard tonight. Thanks for having me. Thanks for being a part of this. And I will not forget y'all for this. There's a couple other people that have helped out. Deputy Trey Reed from the Oklahoma County Sheriff's Office and Officer Nikki Friesen. They've been helped me come up with forms, helped me come up with ideas. You know, Trey's the SRO, the school resource officer at Western Heights. I don't forget where I came from, and I don't forget who was there on the ground floor. A lot of people do that. I always tell you, I've seen it at the police department when people get, I won't just say in the police department, in any culture, any world, when somebody gets, oh, now they're here. Yeah. Now they're here. And I used to be an FTO, field training officer, and I trained like close to about 50 recruits, and like there's 9, I think I've got like 9 lieutenants now and a couple of captains. And whenever I see them, whenever I would see them, after they got off FTO, which is a problem, and I would say, you forget where you come from, I'll meet you in the parking lot. You know what I mean? But I've been to a few of their promotional ceremonies, and if I see them in the hallway, and they know, I mean, I'm serious, but I don't say it like confrontational. Right. They're like, oh, we wouldn't do, I said, do not forget where you come from. And I don't forget where I come from. I won't forget this. I won't forget them. I won't forget my supervisors and people's support. I won't, it's that switch. Right. Can't turn it, it's a switch, man. I love my people.
That's right.
And then the ones that, if I ever flip the switch, then just never hear from me.
Out.
Just never hear from me again. It's what you hope. But I mean, we're all crazy to a certain degree, and that's my love language. That's what Adam Roscoe always says. What is it? Aggression is my love language.
Oh man. Well, man, again, we're so excited to have had you on, and just again to getting the word out, because like seriously, guys, like we are looking for anything that can help. Like we're mentors, equipment, monetary donations, whatever that you can, whatever makes sense for you guys. If you have something, if not, the volunteers, whatever. I'm sure there's ways that we can get a lot of people involved. And this is just one of our platforms that we have that we can help rally this community around you and this program and the whole police department and everything that we're doing. And man, like it's truly been. It's been cool to see just how much excitement and how things are like have fallen into place. Like you said, it's a God thing, and I believe that myself, because some of this stuff, I know it's come with stress, but some of this stuff is just makes sense. And when stuff just makes sense and these ducks start lining up, it's like, man, it's time to go and it's time to do this. And then again, I don't think there could be a better person to be representing this, a better person to be leading this and having ideas in this, and like I think the world of you, and I think the world of what you're doing here. And I just like, you couldn't have 6 months ago, if you said, Thomas, right, imagine Clay Cline's perfect job, I don't think I could have come up with something better than this. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's just like,
I don't either.
I think
really
this is something that it found you, and again, like I think your integrity, the way you carry yourself, who you are. I've seen you with kids. I've seen you with these kids. Like, man, like there's just like it just couldn't be better. And like Kevin said, I don't know if we've ever been more excited to be doing, just helping. You know what I mean? Like to just be a part of this, and even in whatever small way that we can be, like we are on board, man. And so. I'm proud of you, and I'm proud of what you're doing, and I think this is going to be special.
Yeah. Thanks again, guys. Man, I love you guys. Y'all are family. I'm on call for y'all 24/7. I always have been. Yep. Tell me to show up with $1,000 and a shovel, man. We'll work it out. No, in all seriousness, you guys are great. Thanks for having me on here. Thanks to everybody that's listening.
Yeah.
Thanks for all the coming support at whatever level that might be. It's a God thing. I mean, it's like I said, wildfire. I've never seen anything like it, and it's very ironic. Not the program guy. I guess I am now.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Well, I think sometimes it takes that kind of thing, you know what I mean, to do it. You know what I mean? Sometimes it takes the person who isn't, and I don't know, but maybe sometimes it's not the program guy, you know,
right?
Because it gets too easy.
It's truly a good program to get the not program guy. Right. I like the best leaders don't want to be leaders.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Right. Well, shoot, what episode is this?
61.
61, episode 61. So yeah, one more time, Clay, if you want to throw out your phone number again so people can get a hold of you if they got stuff.
Skyline, so the hub, which is at Southeast 25th and Lindsay, Old Schilling Park. We're going to call it, the weight pit going to be called Skyline Gym. My number, Sergeant Clay Cline. Just call me Clay, 405-365-4950. That's 405-365-4950. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
So much.
We love you, buddy. And thank you, everybody. And a little pre-thank you for all the generous donations you guys are all going to do.
Yeah. And I talked about, the cool part of the job being, getting to raise funds, but it's because of our customers, because of the community.
Right.
I don't have a money and resource tree in my backyard. We can facilitate it, but it's a community that really gets it going. So big thank you to everything that everybody has done, and a big thank you to anything that will be contributed to this.
Shout out to Ray Willingham too for getting on social media and getting the word out as well. So, well, all right. Well, thanks for listening, guys.
Episode 61.
Episode 61. That's it.
Thanks.